And we are live.
Right. All right, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. If you don't know, I used to live in California and now I live in Kansas. So I am able to drive up to lovely Breckenridge, which is definitely a bonus of not having canceled flights. Co-slides. And if you didn't know, my new book recently came out on Jamboard. So I have a few copies of that. If you would like to take a look, where we have over 150 sample jams in here. We have 91 ways that you can use Jamboard. And I have my other books over there as well. If you would like to pick one up at the end of the session, they are $20. Glad you guys are here. Is this working? All right, so on the second slide, it has the schedule. So when you went to aliceco.com/inedcoslides, I'm going to click here on the Friday. Hey, welcome. Come on in. Let me give you the slides real quick. Whoops. How do I do this? If you go to aliceco.com/inedcoslides, that's the newbies walking in the door. Welcome, welcome. And following with like. I also have all of the slides for my teaching with Jamboard, so if you weren't able to make that session on Monday, which I'm pretty sure none of you were, I do have that in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Google Classroom. I'm happy to take your Google Classroom questions. I'm going to look really embarrassed in 1 second here, but I'm going to fix it. So I'm Alice Keeler. You can tweet me at Alice Keeler, and my website is alicekeeler.com. That is 2 E's and 1 L. Yes, I already talked about my book. You find all my books at alicekeeler.com/books, or I will see you after the session. I am currently teaching high school math. I taught geometry last year. I'm going to teach applied geometry this year. Although, you know, up until you actually start school, you never really know what your schedule is, right? And then, so I'm doing 2 periods of high school geometry. And then my new job is I'm going to be coding for this company, Schoolitics. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later in this session. So you're going to join my jam. But I forgot to reset it from the last time. So if you'll just give me a second, I'm going to go to the version history. So if you didn't know you could do that in Jamboard, you can go to the version history. I go to the 3 dots. I see the version history. And I'm going to put it, restore this version back to the way that it was. Now I'm ready for you. Sorry about that. I kept thinking to myself this morning, make sure you reset the jam, Alice. Make sure you reset the jam. So if you go to aliceco.com/inedco2021, that is our hashtag, and then throw a GC on there, I have a jam for you to participate. Also, it is hyperlinked, so if you're looking at the slides, you can go ahead and click the hyperlink. So alicekeeler.com/inedco2021GC. You're welcome. If you're using your phone, Jamboard works on your phone. I highly encourage you, though, you want to do it with the app. So if you don't have the app, go on over to the App Store, install Jamboard. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything. In your app experience, the jams need to open up on the app. I'm trying to think. I don't think they work on the browser on your phone. They might. But you want to have the app. It's a much better experience, for sure. All right. No problem. So on the thank you. On the left-hand side, if you're on the web version, you'll see that it has a place for a sticky note. Yes, you can add sticky note. You can also use a text box if you want. Or if you are inclined to use a pen, feel free. And if anyone would like to add their Bitmoji, like Upside Down Debbie. So what I'm going to do to put my Bitmoji into the jam is I'm going to right-click. I'm going to right-click and choose Copy Image. I'm going to right-click and choose Copy Image, and then you can just paste your Bitmoji if you want to. Oh, I think that would only work if I had an actual jam board, which is like $6,000 to $8,000. So we're not going to do that. So over up here where it says it's not a Jamboard session, but I'm happy to answer Jamboard questions. Where it says open on a Jamboard, a Jamboard is a piece of hardware, like maybe a smart board. I don't like to say that they're really the same thing, but a physical piece of hardware. So if you just go to, there we go. If you just go to alicekill.com/anedco2021gc and you have the Jamboard app on your iPad or your phone, it should open in there, I hope. Otherwise, if you go to it on, is there really? It doesn't say I have that many. It says there's 9. Try refreshing. It's worked great on, did this on Tuesday. It worked great on Tuesday. I'll put it back. So if you go alicekill.com/anedco-slides, it just gets you the slides. If you do alicekill.com/anedco2021gc, it'll get you the jam. So fun fact, if you are a Google Classroom user, which I hope you are, because we're doing the session, is you can actually add Google Jamboard jams to Google Classroom just like you can a Google Doc, just like you can a Google Slides. So it's a lot easier to pass them out to your students. Since I don't have you all enrolled in my Google Classroom, I have to use my linking capabilities. It's not asking. I don't know. That is weird. I agree. We'll troubleshoot that later. Okay, so we have Molly who's here. Is this Molly, you sitting on top of your sticky note? All right. Hey, Cindy. Thanks for being here. And this is one of my tricks when I use Jamboard. My rule for using Jamboard is we do it so that I hear from everybody. We do it to collaborate, more student voice, and more active student engagement. So as I ask my students to participate, I'll make it big to focus on. And you can use Control-Shift-Up arrow to bring it to the front. Control-Shift-Down arrow to push it to the back. So that's just a fun little trick about Jamboard, even though that's not what we're doing today. Lad, thanks for being here. Joanna. Woo, Joanna, thank you. Alana, thank you. Thanks, Becky. Did I miss anybody? Crystal. We have Crystal. Thanks, Crystal. Okay, so when you're using a jam, if you don't know this, at the top center, Laura's in the house, thank you, Laura. At the top center is your frame bar. You see how it says 1 frame out of 3? You can call it a screen, you can call it a frame, you can call it a slide, I don't really care. I've gotten myself finally in the habit of calling a frame. Since I did write a book about it, I thought I should use the same terminology, but Chris is here. Thank you. So on the second frame, can you tell me what you like about Google Classroom? I'm obviously a big fan of Google Classroom. I use it a lot. It is my go-to. I want every day to be consistent, that students know, what are we doing today? Start with Google Classroom. I ask an attendance question. Are you in person? Are you tardy? Are you participating remotely? Are you absent? And so every day I ask my students to at least log in and do that. Mostly because I'm so scatterbrained. And I know I've seen you sometime, and it might have been last week. Do my attendance. Did I see you today? I had a student in my class all year. You know, we had the masks. And then when we finally lifted up the masks, he had a full beard. I had no idea. Like a full beard. Okay. Who are you? Are you supposed to be here? Yes, Google Classroom is free. That's definitely a great advantage to using Google Classroom. I also like not only that it's free, is that it's not so bloated. You know, sometimes less is more. If you have to like learn a bunch of things and stuff, you know, the more stuff you have, the more stuff that can break. So I do like that. So coming soon is more app integration, where they're going to be adding third-party apps into there. So when you do the add button, you know, right now you can add from Google Drive, you can add a file, and soon you'll be able to just add Kahoot and some of the other different things. So I emailed them and I said, hey, I'm a Google certified innovator. I'm a Google developer expert. I code Google add-ons, Google Classroom add-ons. I got like a ton of them. And I said, can I get in on the beta? And they acted like they never heard of me before. So they said, no. Okay, whatever. So when they open it up to allow anybody to do it, then I will probably make some fun things. Oh, I am friends with Jenny McGarrett. Don't worry. we go way back. So if you do alicekeeler.com reuse GC, that is one of my add-ons. And one thing about Jamboard is you cannot control the wrap. But so what are some of my pain points with Google Classroom? One is that you can only reuse assignments one at a time. And one of the things I really like about Google Classroom is you can only reuse assignments one at a time, because I don't want to be filing cabinet guy. I don't want to just take all my stuff I had last year like it couldn't be improved. Of course it can. Now, back when I used Moodle, I would reuse the whole class, but I have every intention that I'm going to update it. But then, when you're in the thick of it and you're in survival mode, it's good enough. And I want to go left, but I've already posted everything. And I want to be a lot more flexible for my students. So I love about Google Classroom is that when I reuse a post, it opens immediately to edit, to give me a second to ponder. Can I make this better? Of course I could make it better. I've never taught the perfect lesson. And even if I had, I got different kids this year. So, but if you go to alicekeeler.com/reusegc, that's an add-on that I've coded. It is free, that allows you to grab all of the assignments from one of your Google Classrooms, be it the current class or a previous class, and you check boxes to reuse 2, 3, 5 of them at a time. Yes, ma'am.
So my district is going to ask you to request permission?
Yeah.
Whatever else you're asking for.
It is compliant, because when you make a copy of this, you are technically you are the owner. There is no tie back to me. So it's not an actual add-on. I mean, it is. It's a spreadsheet and it's in the add-on menu, but you have to it's not published to the Google Marketplace.
Oh.
So every time you make a new one, it's like it's a brand new scripter card. So it is. Your district might block it. That does happen sometimes. I can't control that. But I have like a ton of things. alicekeeler.com/first slide. Let me make one of those. So, great word wrapping. What that allows you to do is you have an assignment in Google Classroom where you have Google Slides per student. It allows you to push and pull. So you can send new slides, but you can also pull the text off of their slides. You can read everybody's responses all at once without having to open up everyone's individual one. One of my first goals at my new job at School of Coding is try to integrate this into their platform. So hopefully, if I can figure out Python, which I don't know, but I'm gonna learn, then we'll have that capability for you. So we'll see. But those are the kinds of things, like I already code them, and so they could be distributed through the Schoolitics or just through Google Classroom. So we'll see what I'm able to do. All right, is a house for everything? Yes, totally. It allows me to make solid routines of where to find everything we do, and it also allows me to easily and quickly give students resources. That is my second, third, fourth best tip. My first best tip is to number all of your assignments with a hashtag. Hashtag 001, hashtag 002. Numbers alphabetized like letters. So 1 and 11 alphabetized together. So if you want to go 1, 2, 3, that's why we do the 3 digits. Gets you all the way up to 1,000. The hashtag stops being a number. It makes it assignment number 1. Otherwise, when you search your Google Drive for a 1, what has a 1 in it? Everything. If you look for hashtag 001, it surfaces up specifically the things that are for assignment number 1. When I am looking at Google Classroom and I Control F to find, Control F find, hashtag 001 takes me right to assignment number 1. Otherwise, not so much. So you search in your Gmail, search in your Drive, search in Google Classroom. That hashtag makes a big difference because it makes it unique. So yes, somewhere in there might put everything in there. I don't want to hear students say, what did I miss? If I have a sub, I just leave. It's stress-free. Can we what? Okay, did we do anything while I was gone? I hope that you, like me, say, no, class just wasn't the same without you, and we just couldn't continue on. And they're like, oh, I'm going to check Google Classroom. What a good idea. Thank you. Yes, right? It can integrate. Thank you. To me, less is more. I really do like how simple it was. I do like Microsoft Teams, but it is a little bit more challenging to navigate. It is easy to use and it is awesome. I certainly think so. It's a one-stop shop for everything, totally. Thank you very much. So easy to use and create right in front of the students as ideas come up. Yes, yes. I don't try to do my lesson planning more than 3 days in advance because if my lessons don't change in the next 3 days, then I'm teaching content, not students. Something should happen that makes me say like, oh, tomorrow I need to respond to my formative assessment and do something different. This thing I thought I was going to do, oh, there's a band trip, so maybe I'm not going to do that. And so I like how I can just on the fly add new things. So one of my tips is the numbering is just a reference number. So I'm like, what number am I on? I'm like, I don't know, 75. They're like, Keeler, what happened to 23 through 74? Don't worry about it. I try not to duplicate the numbers, and so at the semester I don't start over, I just round up. So I'm like, and now we're at number 200. Keeler, what happened to number 73 through 199? Don't worry about it. It's just a reference number. So sometimes I get out of order, but I just don't want to have duplicates. You're missing number 12, 15, and 17. Okay, you guys over here are going to work on number 13, and you guys over here are going to work on number 14. What are we doing? We're doing the warm-up. No, not that warm-up. That was yesterday's warm-up. No, we're doing number 7, and everybody's on the same page. And even if they're kindergartners, you write hashtag 007 on the board, and they can match it. So, okay, it's a dashboard for sure for your class and organizing all of your stuff. Thank you. Making a copy of a slideshow or a document for each student. Absolutely. Much easier to distribute things out. Great way to organize information. And it is nice that everything is in the same place and learners, and we have more learning opportunities. Totally agree, right? So I would encourage you, got the C, the L, and the M, so it's going to make it unique. So that would be the point, right, is to have some sort of an easy system to identify it. Okay, now let's go to the next tab, or it's not a tab, the next frame. The next frame, what do you wish Google Classroom could do? And I'm going to be honest, it's a little self-serving because I want to code that for you. So what kind of pain points? What do you wish Google Classroom would allow you to do? You want to go to the third frame. What do you wish Google Classroom could do? I know, you're asking me, like, what's that thing that uses the toaster? Oh, yeah, toast. Quick recall is not right now. Which I'll just throw in my little dig about time math tests. I feel very traumatized about these still from 4th grade. And it's not rocket science to understand that fight or flight when you're put on the spot is not your best opportunity to demonstrate what you know or your recall. So if anybody would like some different strategies on what to do for time math tests, I'd be happy to chat with you about that. But my answer to everything in life is Joe Bowler. Yes.
And so that processing speed would increase that, all that thing, versus their IQ score, like their subject score. So like my son has a 4 clear reasoning to math and
Right.
processing speed. And so it is like stop giving them time stuff to do it.
Yes, I want them to give a thoughtful answer, not a fast answer. So in the vein of how many times can I mention Joe Bowler's name, she says, please stop asking kids to raise their hand. It gives them the impression that you want a fast answer instead of a thoughtful answer. So when you use a tool like Google Jamboard and you ask a question, it allows you to do wait time. It allows every student to actively participate and gives students enough time to formulate an answer that I don't necessarily need it quickly. Okay. All right, so we want a copy link for draft that will stay the same when it is live. I actually could do that with the reuse GC. So what I do in there, I have, not only can you reuse all of your assignments, you can create assignments, which I just make that my hub. I create all of my assignments from the spreadsheet, because if I make it from the spreadsheet, I can grade it from the spreadsheet. If I make it from the spreadsheet, I can control it from the spreadsheet. So it will push it to Google Classroom as a draft. Well, in that case, I would have in the code the link. So that's actually something I could probably do this weekend. Add an assignment after the fact for when I forget to make a copy for each student. Yep, can't do that. So you have to reuse post, and then reuse post, and then delete the oops. Yep, you're screwed on that, just so you know. I can't do it. I can't code it either. There are actually several things in the API that I cannot do. I cannot code the private comments. Just cannot do it. I can't code the rubrics. Why? Anything basically to do with grading, they don't have it included in the API, which is very bizarre. Get a link for an assignment with having it live. That was the other one. I'll think about getting that done this weekend. Let's see how I do. Toggle between teacher and student view. That would be nice. I cannot do that. Yeah, I cannot do that. But you can ask your IT person to make a fake student and enroll them in your classes. It's not ideal, but I hope what all of you are doing is when you click on your picture that it only shows one account. If it shows more than one account, it causes some account conflicts. So instead, you want to come up a little bit higher. I have a few Google accounts, just a couple. Yeah, is that 30? And so, yes, so you can be logged into Joe Tiger and be logged into your school account and see it from the student view. If your IT person, the apps admin, will make you a fake student for your classes, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but you know, sometimes people want. Bad math, I'm at the faculty meetings, I don't know. Yeah, but that shouldn't matter. You should still be able to log in on the student account if they were to just make a fake student. So, help learners move through the learning process based on mastery and non-mastery. Yes, my biggest probably thing I dislike about Google Classroom is the gradebook. It is like the worst gradebook on the market, honest to goodness. I can't drop scores easily. I can't really do anything, and good luck exporting it. And I want standards-based. Where is standards-based? So that is definitely something I think about, is how to hack it. That is something I can code and hack some things into there. So we'll see. We'll see. And good news, they're doing that. So that is a feature that they have already announced that is on the horizon, is being able to schedule multiple assignments or assignments to multiple classes. So I don't know when it'll be live. I saw the new Google Sites 2 years before it actually came out. So who knows? At some point, don't hold your breath, these features will come. So, but that is on their roadmap, and I'm allowed to talk about it because they've made it publicly knowledgeable. Okay, a drop down for topics.
So instead of like you post all of the assignments, and so that they have to scroll and everything, like move your next topic up, but just having that like drop down so that
They do have a drop down. So if you actually zoom in, the topics list comes up to the top as a drop down, but it's always at least on the side as a clickable list.
yes, I know that, but like
Okay.
from their landing page. Does that make sense?
I mean, from the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
they-
the screen, not like from the classroom tab. Not like if you go to the topics part, at least it was, and I haven't done it in a single account, but you, as you post your assignments in the classwork, you can go to the topic there, but I'm saying that they can tell you to close it so they're not seeing.
Yeah, it is interesting that you can't collapse topics, because I don't need to see old stuff. I mean, why would you show me the top 10 of every topic when we're way past that? That being said, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you create a new Google Classroom every unit, or at least every grading period. at the bare minimum every semester, but every 6 weeks or every unit, I would make a new one. And what I'm going to show you today is how if you do that, you can actually get all your data and all your reports together as if they were one Google Classroom. But that is definitely one of my, I will definitely never give that up, because when I have a separate Google Classroom for the unit, I get to be a lot more creative about the topics. I don't have to wait for the internet. The more stuff you got on your Google Classroom page, the slower it loads. So it's loading up all these old assignments. And then when you want to reuse assignments next year, you like scrolling through the entire list, not me. So I highly recommend you make a new Google Classroom for each unit. And what I'm going to show you here in a little bit should solve some of the headaches that you feel like you might have with that. There is no right answer. You know, whatever you do, that has pluses and minuses, but that's what I do. All right, thanks for helping me with that. Wait, I saw something here. Push grades. They, I'm sure that if they don't already, they're working on those. The problem is every LMS has their own protocols for how they talk to each other. So you can only do it one at a time. Yeah, they do Infinite Campus and Skyward, which I think are two very interesting choices.
I can see my grades from Google Classroom too, and I can pick which grades I want to see. The only thing in Infinite Campus Google Classroom doesn't do is give you like the weights. You can't weight an assignment in Google Classroom, but all you do is that once it's named, you go up to Infinite Campus. But yes, you can, and then it actually loads in. Like now in the fall, our rosters for us. Yes,
All right. All right. So we're talking Google Classroom today, and I'm just going to point out a few things you can do with Google Classroom. So who turned in work? So right when you go to that classroom.google.com and you're on that classes page, if you click the to review, it's going to give you a list. But here's a hack. Maybe you didn't know this. It's an Easter egg when you're actually in the class itself. And you know this little bubble that says upcoming, and it shows you things that are due within the week. When you click on View All, it takes you to the to-do list, but pre-filtered for that class. Because what happens for me is when I click on To-Do from the classes page, because I put all my stuff in there, it loads up all my classes, all my assignments, and it takes it forever to load. So this way it loads a lot faster because it's pre-filtered for that class. So when I click on View All, what I'm going to be able to see is nice little stripes for each of the assignments. And you can see that I have my hashtag 3-digit numbers. And what I want, my goal is it always says 0 turned in. Using technology should allow me to rethink practices that may be 100 years old, but why were they that way? Because the technology really didn't exist to allow me to do it differently. Why does every kid need to be on the same pacing guide? Dr. Thomas Gusky says there's no average time to learn something. So what I want to do is I'd like to go to the to review page, the to-do page. They keep changing what it's called. For real. To do for students and to review for us. Okay. And then they had it called Your Work at one point, and it was to do for both of them. Yeah. The worst thing about being a Google expert is every day you wake up and all your stuff is obsolete. So keeps my brain sharp. If this has a number that's not 0, I hold down the control key. I hold down the control key so that opens in a new window. I hold down the control key so it opens in a new window, and I just try to go through and return. Because the longer the gap between a student submitting something and then giving feedback, them getting feedback, the less they care. So then there's a point where they're angry. So I try to be a rapid returner, right? Return. And if I'm always trying to get these to 0, then I can tell if someone turned something in since the last time I looked at it. You can export your grades to Google Sheets. Grading is one of the things I was studying for a doctorate that I dropped out of. Let's not talk about that. Might ban me from using spreadsheets. So I like to put rubric scores in Google Classroom as my preference. But regardless of which, if you open up any assignment, any assignment, you can click on the cog in the upper right of the assignment. Why is this not on the people page? I don't know. Should be, because I'm going to be able to copy all the grades to Google Sheets. Now, one of the things I use that for is just so I can get a roster of my students. But if you use my alicekeeler.com/reusedgc, I have something that will pop out a roster of your students. It'll also pop out as Google Doc of all your assignments. Yeah. So see what I can incorporate into other places. But for now, it's at alicekiller.com/reusegc. I don't like the grades tab. I don't know if all you do. It loads so slowly for me that it becomes nearly worthless. But that is definitely a way that you can tell if students have completed work, if it's turned in, if you need to do something with it. My general way that I click on anything in Google Classroom is holding down the control key. So if I'm going to click on a student, I hold down the control key. If I'm going to click on an assignment, I hold down the control key. So it opens in a new tab. So I don't have to reload the grade page. So I don't have to reload the to-do page. So I don't have to reload the classwork page. It makes it go a lot faster for me. So that's my tip. If you go to the People tab, you can click on any student's name, and it's going to go to individual student view. So this is one way that you can get a progress report out of Google Classroom. So you go to the People tab. You can also do it when you're in any particular assignment, not by clicking on their name on the left side, but clicking on their larger name, which again, I always hold down the control key when I click on that, so it opens in a new tab, and I don't lose where I'm grading. Now, if you click on missing, it'll filter for all the missing assignments. Now, here's the problem for that. If you go through and mark them as a 0, they're no longer missing. But if they're missing, they don't count against them on the grade. Awesome. I'm sure someone thought that was a good idea. But you can actually just copy and paste this. You can copy and paste it into an email. You can copy and paste it into a Google Doc or something like that. Or you have the option to click on, what you probably haven't noticed is it has this envelope at the very top right of the individual student view. And when you click on this envelope at the very top right of the individual student view, you'll see that it'll send an email to the student, the guardians, or the students and guardians. Students, and guardians. And then you can type a little note and message that out. And you can click a checkbox to include the progress report. Here's the problem with that. If the students don't have email, they won't get it. It doesn't actually go through your Gmail, just so you know. So you can't go to your email and see that you sent it. How do you get that progress report? Well, unless you're their parent, you don't. So that would be a way for you to send it out, but you don't really have a record of it, just to be honest. They cannot send you messages like that. So students should send you messages in the private comments, which is hands down my favorite feature in Google Classroom. They would have had to have, I mean, if you go to the People page and they click on your name, they can email you from the People page, at least you used to be able to. And it would just generate a regular Gmail. So it doesn't do in the back end.
We don't have to do that. So then it's just
I'm sorry. No one likes that. Whoever thinks Outlook and being a Google user is a good idea doesn't actually teach. So, okay. You can also use Gmail. People ask me all the time, Alice, why don't you work for Google? Because I'm sassy, that's why. I like to solve problems. I would rather figure out how to fix them. So I have several things to fix many things. Gmail. So if you go to Gmail, my favorite feature about using Gmail, I actually love that every time a kid does a private comment that it sends me an email. You just have to know how to manage it. So at the very top of your Gmail, there is a search bar, and you click on the little arrow in the search bar, and make sure you put it in the subject line. So what you're looking for is that robot text that shows up in every single email coming from Google Classroom. And I try to include as many of the words, colons, the very specific language that's used in there, so that when it filters, it only catches those emails. And then I label it. So what you want to do is not click search, but rather click filter. So you click create filter. So from Gmail, you don't have Gmail. The best I can do is make fun of you. That's all. That's it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I wish I could fix that. If you are a Google school, I highly recommend that you have Gmail enabled, and that's all I can say. I would do dispute whatever. So below. Okay, so for example, on some of the emails it says submitted late, colon. Submitted late, colon. And notice that I'm putting it in the subject. If you just search at the very top, it actually puts it in here as the words, where it searches the entire body of the email. So if you want to be really specific, you want to put it under subject. And create filter. And when you create the filter, it gives you all kinds of lovely options like skip the inbox. Yep. And then I create a label, which means folder. And then you're going to find those labels folders on the left-hand side. There is a way to filter in Outlook. There is. I just don't know what it is. So I would probably make a lot of money if I figured that out. All right, so I love Google Classroom. There's a lot of features about Google Classroom that I love, but there's a few things that I could really use some help on. And so that's what I would like to show you today is Schoolitics.io. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you through a few things that are in there, and then I'm going to ask you to jump in if you're not blocked from it to give it a try. It is free for teachers, free. Okay. The Get Started guide, I'm not going to click on that. That's there's a resource for later. Yes, ma'am. Of course it's FERPA.
I'm just making sure because we already yelled at it.
If you would like to email me, alice@schoolitics.io. So I got a new email this week because I needed one. You saw that. I did not have enough email addresses. So you can email me, alice@schoolitics.io. Actually, my blog post today was, and I'm like, they're inviting me to this calendar that I don't check. So I have 10 lines of code that I have it automatically every 4 hours check to see if someone invited me to something, and then invites my regular email. So it's on all my calendars on the same place. So if you want that, I have it for free on alicekeeler.com. It's a one-time setup, and it just does it. It keeps doing it forever. How to code. I do offer classes on how to code. So I do have a premium membership. It's $12 a month. And so every week you would sign in with me in a Google form. I respond personally, and then I create and code things that I don't put out publicly. And I do webinars and office hours every week to answer whatever questions you want. And some of the online courses that are included is coding. So if you go to alicekeeler.com/membership, that is something that you could do. Okay. All right. So Schoolitics, it's free. Free for teachers. There is an admin level that does have a charge, but it's pretty cheap. And what's really great about this is one-click sign-in with Google. It's one-click sign-in with Google. So you know, like a lot of times when you sign in with Google, they still want you to put your first name, the last name, and your dog's name or whatever. It doesn't ask you any information, just instantly shows you your data. It'll allow you to say, like, oh, these are your classes, and you can toggle them on and off. So I have my Unit 7 geometry and my Unit 8 geometry. I have them both toggled on and all the other ones toggled off. Because I'm the tech coach at my site, you know, the weights coach adds me as a co-teacher. You know what? I just don't need to filter through his students when I'm looking for my own Google Classroom data. So you can show and hide, especially if you are a co-teacher, you will really appreciate that. You just go to the dashboard and see your data. So it's just going to show you on the date range, that's the key, on the date range, the work completion rate, grade average. Hey, Alice, you're kind of a slacker here. This is from like the end of school through summer, so. And then you scroll down just a little bit and you see each of your students where you can tell if they're turning work, how much work they've turned in, summarizes it really nicely for you. And you see those icons next to their name. That allows you to drill down. So you can go to their profile. You can also get the same information overall about the class, how much is graded, all kinds of just lovely things. And it has drill down options as well by class instead of by student. And when you open up the student, you have this great option, like you want a missing assignments report, here you go. The progress report will export to PDF or Google Doc, which allows you to customize it. and it's on the day range. So that's something that's really important to understand. It's when you open it up, it's not going to show from the beginning of the semester or the beginning of the school year. It's going to show it since this particular date. So make sure that you pay attention to that. So your progress report doesn't have to be 1,000,000 miles long. And you can create student groups. Now here's my dream. We don't have this, but if once you create the group, why can't I assign to groups? So if I make the assignment in Schoolitics, couldn't I push the assignment to the groups? Because the weirdest thing ever is that you have a collaborative product, Google Apps, and you don't have group work. I don't know, just say it. So, but you can create student groups so that you have a certain group of students that you're wanting to keep track of, follow up on. You don't have to redo the filter every time. That is a brand new feature, and there is a couple of little tiny glitches, maybe. I think they probably fixed them. But as someone who codes, if you fix one thing, you break 5. So, but we have really great people who will listen if it's not working. And this is also a beta feature, is you can reuse assignments. So it'll pull up all of your assignments from your Google Classrooms. You know when you go to reuse posts, you have to scroll forever and find it, and then you go to reuse the second one, and you right back to re-scrolling. So this way, you see all of them sitting there, and you just reuse it, and it doesn't move. Yes. And then it's not a feature yet, but we would like at least across the domain. Really just depends on how complex the coding is. But what I like about this is it has engagement metrics and funds. Engagement metrics that shows, was this even an assignment worth reusing? So that when you come back next year to see how the students did, either I want to update it or maybe I want to do something different. Okay, so we're going to go to schoolitics.io. I would love for you to try this with me if you can. Just open up a new tab. Go to, it's the word school and analytics.io. The worst part about it, for sure, is learning how to spell it, and your phone does not like it. It will autocorrect it every time. But the good news is once you log in, it'll send you an email every week with your data. It's like, here's your students who's doing work. Here's the percentage of assignments you've graded to re-engage you back to say, okay, I do want to look this stuff up, and you can just click on the link. You can say how often or never if you want those reminders. So the default is once a week, but they let you control what day of the week and how many days. Like once a month is good enough. You can do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Schoolitics. I'm just going to click up here and log in. It'll prompt me to go in with my Google account unless it just remembers me. There it is. It remembered me. So you can see right here where it says date range. So it's from 2 weeks ago to current. So you might want to change those date ranges. So I'm going to make this back to January. So all your reports, all your information is over the date range. So if you want to see if they've improved from last week, that's a great piece of information. And so you got these nice charts, and you just scroll down. You can see your students. Click on somebody. Got the progress report option, the missing assignments report option, and information about what assignments they've done, when they turned it in at. Tell me you don't want that. And by the way, every time you click where you see one of these tables, all of these are clickable that you can sort by turned in, sort by status, sort by due date, sort by points, whatever. They're all clickable. On the left-hand side, you can see that we have some different, these reports is just pre-filtered, so you're missing assignments. Which students aren't really doing work? That's pretty helpful. Which students are? And then this is just your unfit filtered data down here, all your courses, all your students. And you can set filters and organize those. If you click on the 3 lines menu in the upper left-hand corner, the 3 lines menu in the upper left-hand corner, if you choose courses, it gets you back to that dashboard where you choose which courses. So being the tech coach, I don't want to see the weight teachers' classes in there, but at some point when I want to work with him, I might. So I'll toggle mine off, I'll toggle his on so I can look at that data. In order to do that, I have to be a co-teacher. If I'm the tech coach and I don't want to be co-teacher of everybody's class, that's where the admin account comes in. The admin account is this, but allows you to see like the math department, the school. If I were to pull up a progress report for Javier, it's going to show all of his classes and not just my class. And so that's what the admin level lets you do. If you're interested in that, well, you can email me. I'll forward it to Anna. You can click here on notifications. Just to be honest, I'm coding. She's the one who, she's very nice. She's much nicer than me, just so we're clear. She's not. She's also unbelievably humble. She's got a book, and she has her doctorate in special ed. Okay, so you can say which day of the week you want, what time you want it, how many days between getting this email to remind you that you'd like to look at this progress reports or these things. So that is left, upper left on the 3 lines menu. Go to notifications. And then again, this instructional resources is in beta. It's in beta, instructional resources. And it's going to show me 40,000 possible assignments, literally 42,538. So they've got all 19,000 Khan Academy videos, assignments that you can just push them out to your class. Like you need something quick. You're not feeling good today. I don't know where the other 42 minus 19 is coming from because that literally, like on Tuesday, I'm like, that's not 19. But they are looking for places that they can find resources for you to have some sort of an assignment bank of things that you can push out. It's filterable, so you can filter by classes, your classes, filter by subjects, grade level. And then this is kind of cool is, for example, my school bought Pear Deck. So it would show me how many of my assignments use Pear Deck, how many of my assignments use Khan Academy. And so if I wanted to do a Pear Deck assignment, I can filter by all of my Pear Deck assignments and re-find ones that I did last year. If I'm at the admin level, I could see how many Pear Deck assignments there were, what was the engagement on it, and possibly, not yet, but share them out. Like these were ones that were really good. Does it say 42,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 42,000 is that public database that's not your particular assignments. You wouldn't see the other things because the other things are things that I've got in my Google Classroom.
Okay,
So it's the public is things that are not my private stuff, plus, see, I have 134 in my courses.
Gotcha.
And so then these are all the filters for either or. So if I click, if you notice when I click my courses, most of the stuff will go away.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes?
One thing to add, as someone who has filters, is that you don't even have to create these filters on the side. This is technology, picking up stuff from your assignments and already auto-categorized.
Yeah.
So when we're adding text, we have to use state standards. What we need, like, use your assessment text or whatever your standards are.
So what Anna is saying is that we are working on allowing you to align to standards. And if we have your particular assessments, we can help you align those to standards and get them organized so you can sort by standard on the side. Yeah?
Are state standards or what?
Well, it's a beta feature. So why don't you email Anna or myself? They're very similar.
I'd like the AP, like, course exam description, like, by topic.
Sure, email her. Anna@schoollytics.io, or you can email me, Alice@schoollytics.io, and I'll forward it to her. But if you have any feature requests or things that you would really like, this is a new product, so we would like to hear your suggestions. Okay, so that is basically it. I'm going to take some questions. I've been on StreamYard, so I'm going to see if Melody's got some for me.
I do not have any
Okay,
questions.
no problem. What happened here? Present. Right, so for those of you who came in late, these are the slides. If you would like a copy of the slides, it's alicekeeler.com/Annetco slides.
Alice,
Yes.
I do have a question that just came in. It says, can it be used to see who access to assignments? Can it
So
be used to
the
see?
way that Google Classroom, it's, we're dependent on data that you can get from Google Classroom. So if they have done something in Google Classroom, we can get to that engagement report that they've logged in. Just logging in isn't an actionable item, so we actually don't have that piece of information.
All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Like turning off accepting responses in the actual assignment. It's like, you go, oh, here's my due date, and then you go, well, I turned it in. You thought I accepting it, but that's what I turned it in. And like that not accepting, like
I know that's a popular request. I disagree, but it doesn't matter if I agree or disagree. Google Classroom does take requests. So if you get the question mark in the bottom left-hand corner, send request.
Yeah. Yeah, turn it back on and have it. Yeah. So I do monitor classroom and I use self-paced mastery, but our deadlines I use cats. So they have.
So what I do is I go through as anybody who hasn't turned it in, and I use rubric scores. So I give them a rubric score that indicates that, and I return it to them. And when I do the return note, I say, this is due, this was due on this date, I'm not accepting it. However, if it was, my opinion, if it was worth assigning, it's worth collecting. That doesn't mean that I have to go back. I'm not saying I'm gonna go back and look at it. I'm not saying I'm gonna go back and grade it, but I would at least like the option.
I just move everything to, send that to review. I would move to review so I don't see it.
Yes, you would not see any more there
So
if you did that.
I can't see it.
And that's basically how I handle it. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. I know, would have been nice to have, right? Oh, we're actually working on that. This assignment is blank. Did you? Yeah. Well, pop-up will be able to indicate on there that it is. So my dream is that you just log into Schoolitics every day, and we have a panel of things because we have a data scientist and AI that will surface things for you, so you're not digging through stuff. So the activities that you normally do or most likely would want, that this would just happen for you. So that students have turned in work. It says, hey, these students have turned in work. Do you want to go through and grade these? Do you want to return it and tell them, hey, too late, dude? Organize it in different ways or do whatever with it. So one of my things that I see a lot of people doing on assignments that are past due is they edit the title and they put an emoji, like a stop sign emoji. Yeah. Any other questions? The bulleting in bold and italics was definitely helpful. Can I still say that I really want to hyperlink the text? Because I really need to hyperlink the text. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Microsoft Teams, you can highlight and hyperlink. And I just want the hyperlinking to be exactly like it is in Google Forms. Like when you leave feedback, you can say what the hyperlink text is. That's my own wish. That's my wish. So you would think since they're all Google products, I happen to know that every product has a giant team You know, and the forms team is not the slides team, is not the classroom team. And actually that's why there's individual apps. That's why you have a slides app that's separate from the doc app, because each team doesn't want to get the other team's permission to update and push out features. That I do know.
The forms team really does need
I have presented personally to the forms team many times, a 70 slides, hey, this is maybe a little excessive in the clicking.
I need superscript and I need subscript.
I teach math. You can use Equagio.
No, I do that too with the students.
So I've been teaching math since 1999, and we didn't have Equagio and we didn't have any of these things, but I have been one-to-one my entire teaching career. And I teach my students to type everything like they're putting it into a spreadsheet by skill. So they learn underscore for subscript and the caret for superscript. And then it's transferable to calculators and spreadsheet skills. So I almost prefer it. I actually don't want them to spend time using, this is my opinion, using the equation editors. I want them to get done with it. This doesn't bother me. I can read the exponents. They get used to it really quickly. They never complained for years. I've never had a student complain about it. In fact, if we're on paper, I make them write it the pretty print and the spreadsheet way, even if it's on paper. That's me. Other questions? Okay. Well, thanks for joining, you guys. I do have stickers over there. Feel free to help yourself. And you can take a look at my books if you would like to. And I do have them for $20 if anyone would like to get one. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I'm good.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. I didn't
Sure.
ask everybody. Who doesn't know?
Hold on. I want to